Great.
Yo, welcome to the stream. This is Synthetic Gaming, and we are here today to talk about The Last of Us 2. I'll just go around and let everybody introduce themselves. Kick it off, Dr. Scott McGluestick.
Hey, I'm Jared now. Actually, I don't go by that anymore. Because I don't have a brand, but that's fine because I gave up on that. Ed.
Oh yeah, that'll be me. All right, this is Ed here, Nacho Chief. I've been doing well. Played the game a long time ago, but yeah, looking forward to getting back into this.
Wait,
great to see you, Jen.
Isn't your name Nacho Average Gamer? Nacho Cheese? All right.
Nacho Cheese, Nacho Average Gamer.
You guys and your
both
branding
ways.
is shit.
But what's up, y'all? It's Fizzy here. Last time I was on this podcast, I was actually going by Carbonated Gaming. So I've had a bit of a rebrand as well. I've also rebranded my look. Last time I had like really long hair, as well as Nacho over there as well. He also had long hair. So yeah, welcome.
Yeah, g'day. I'm one of your co-hosts, John, and welcome back to the what's it called? Semi-synthetic, semi-occasional gaming podcast. So yeah, we're going to talk about The Last of Us Part 2, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting because it's a pretty divisive and somewhat controversial game. So yeah, let's get cracking. I think first we should talk about the first game though. So what do you guys reckon?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Who likes the first game?
I didn't think
man,
much of it
first game
going
was
through the
brilliant.
first time, but going back through the second time, I actually had a lot more appreciation for it. I don't really know why it was. I know everyone really loved it at first when it first came out, but for some reason it didn't resonate that well with me. But the second time, though, it definitely did. No idea why, but it was really good.
Yeah, I think maybe maybe that's perhaps why I didn't also enjoy it that much. I never actually played it when it first came out. I completed that game. Actually, that was a game I think I started. I think I started that game probably 3 or 4 times, and I've done the first kind of 30 minutes about 3 or 4 times, and it wasn't until I kind of had started to set up Carbonated Gaming that I decided, yeah, like this is a game that's highly recommended, and I just need to like grind through it. So earlier this year is when I completed that game, and yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to decide whether I liked it or not, but yeah, I finished it anyway. So
I fall into the camp where I like the game,
Sure.
but yeah, the first time I played it, it was a bit it was when it first came out on the PS4, so it was what, a year or two after it was first released on PS3. And yeah, I thought it was like a cool game. It looked amazing. The story was like brilliant. But then because there was such a long gap between that one and the second one, I forgot what happened, so I had to watch like, one of those YouTube videos that went through the whole story again, and it just opened up my eyes again, like, wow, man, this was actually like really great. So
Look,
narrative and everything, man.
Yeah, look, I played The Last of Us when it came out back in 2013 on the PS3, and I loved the game. I think, if we had to talk about things that I loved specifically about the game, it would have to be the story. I thought that the moral choices that the characters made throughout the game were compelling, interesting, and yeah, it hooked me, from beginning to end. So, I'm surprised that people can play through that game and not get that same reaction, but I guess everyone's entitled to their opinion. But yeah, I absolutely thought it was great.
Yeah, so I'm with you, Yale. Basically, I played The Last of Us Part 1 a few years after it came out, and this is probably the game that got me back into modern gaming, and by then the PS4 was already out, so I was still playing an old PS3 title, but I played this game and I was just so blown away. And I remember thinking, man, is this what I've been missing out on for the last 10, 15 years that I hadn't really been playing games for? And I don't know if that's true, but I think The Last of Us Part 1 is sort of a one of a kind. But yeah, basically blew me away. I thought the graphics were amazing for the PS3, and it was, yeah, as you said, yeah, a totally compelling game, and I really, really liked the gameplay and the stealth elements of it. And, you know, one thing that I always sort of keep coming back to is I love this game because you can, if you're kind of, you know, low on ammo or you're in a bit of a tight spot, you can just sort of beat the shit out of zombies with your bare fists. And I don't know any other game that you can really do that, you know? So that's why I love the first game.
Well, you definitely can't do that in Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, so I don't know, do you want to go into the first game a bit more, or?
I think at the very least, I would actually be curious to see what you guys think of Joel's decision at the end of that game. You know, if you were actually in that position, if you could do the same thing or not.
Yeah.
If it was like, if you were the person who had that relationship with
For
someone.
me, I feel like I would definitely make that same decision. I couldn't.
So.
Yeah, that would be such a moral dilemma, right? Like that choice that you had to make. But I don't know, man. If I'd grown that close, traveled halfway across the country with someone, I don't think I could just like give them over to die, man. That'd be
Yeah. Look,
super hard for me.
For me, it's not a moral dilemma. For me, I feel like I would definitely make that choice. I'm not a bigger picture kind of person, and I've never thought about people that I don't know being more important than the people who are close to me. So, I think it was the right decision, and it'd be a very easy decision for me to make.
Yeah, man. I feel exactly the same as you guys, because the way you see it, you know, Joel obviously lost his daughter, and he sees pretty much his daughter in Ellie, and you know, to have to give up essentially like your daughter figure, like I don't know, it'd be hard to like to give them up. So I reckon I'd be making the same decision as Joel.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I'm not sure if I could slaughter, you know, like 60 people. But
You're not. Oh,
but, you know, the thing for me that really stood out to me is the very last scene where they're in the car, and you know, Joel basically just made up this whole bullshit story, and then Ellie goes, "Hey, are you lying to me?" And then, she goes, "Are you telling the truth?" And Joel goes, "Yeah, of course." And then it just cuts out. I was like, "Oh man,
Yeah, look,
That was brilliant.
that moment was really." That made you. I think that moment is the moral dilemma for me. Like, could you do that to someone?
yeah, I think that Joel knew what he did was wrong in that moment, or else he wouldn't have lied about it. I think that if he believed what he was doing was right, he should have just told her what he did.
Yeah.
But he also knew that if he did tell her, that she'd just go running back there, though.
Yeah, because she was so committed to that herself, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe that's probably why he did it then. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we all agree like that. Well, most of us, John, you didn't really decide whether you would save her or not, did you? You just said you couldn't slaughter 60 people, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. Yeah,
if you had the choice to give her up, would you?
John's not that close to his kids.
yeah, no. You know, I suppose if you put it into that kind of context, if it was my daughter or someone close to me like that, you know, definitely, I'd probably go back for him. But yeah, it's still something to think about, I guess.
And Jared,
Sure.
what about you? You didn't really answer it.
No, I wouldn't actually. If it was my own daughter, I would, because I kind of believe that every person needs that person who would do literally anything for them in their lives. And to me, I see that as a dad. So if it was my daughter, I would make that decision. Like, I would definitely save her and yeah, fuck everyone else. But if it was Ellie, then, and knowing how much she really wanted her life to mean something, I'd be like, okay, fair enough. If it meant saving everyone else's daughters, then so be it.
Yeah, I guess.
Can we just kick Jared off this?
Philosophical differences.
Jared just disconnected.
Like, excuse me for looking out for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
You selfish dick.
True.
Yeah, look, it is definitely selfish. I actually think, if I think about it a little bit more, I think that he should have spoken to her about what she wanted. Because if she wanted that, then he should have allowed her to do that.
He should have spoken to her, but
He should have
the
spoken
story is that much better.
I can't remember whether it was already decided like that it was going to be like a fatal procedure that she was about to do. Like, I can't remember whether that was
It was only right at the end of the game, like just before the operation was going to happen. At least
Yeah,
when
she was
Joel
already
found out about it.
on the operating table, right? Like she had
Yeah,
no
Ellie
choice
didn't know.
that she was going to die, right?
I also think that some of the critical decision making that Joel made there was that there was no guarantee that it would 100% create a cure. Because, you know, when you were going through the tables and you were reading all of the operations they had done on previous people, like there was no guarantee that it was going to work as well. So
Yeah.
you're giving her away for a chance that it might work, not for a
To
guarantee.
save humanity.
Yeah, for a chance that it might save humanity.
Yeah,
It's funny how you can make the same point for the complete opposite argument.
You know, there was a really good I forgot which comic run it was in, but it was in one of the Avengers comics where they found this mutant who could tell the future, and so they started using him to prevent crimes. Now, the only problem with this guy is that, you know, he couldn't really tell the future. He could just put all the logical conclusions together to say what was probable. And Captain Marvel actually took this person and started enforcing, you know, the police and stuff to start arresting random people. And they arrested this guy on suspicion that he was going to nuke. No, they killed this guy. They wanted to kill this guy because of a suspicion that he might nuke New York. And Captain America intervened and stopped her, and he didn't do anything. But there was still a chance that he could have done it.
Yeah.
So
That's such a Captain America thing to do.
yeah. But I think it kind of ties back to that because, you know, I think chances, you know, are less important than, you know, the things that you hold close to you. So I don't know if yeah.
I've got another moral dilemma for you. Who killed the doctor in the theater? Like, I know you have to kill the doctor, but did you know you have to kill the doctor?
Oh, who actually did?
Oh, yeah, I
because
did.
I killed him straight
Yeah,
away.
I know what you mean.
Wait, when was that?
Did you kill all the doctors?
I waited.
Yeah, I
In the
slaughtered
end of
them.
the first
Oh,
one.
I mean, I just killed the one doctor and ran out.
Yeah.
Wait, was that an
same.
actual choice, or like you just do it?
Yeah, because there were
Yeah,
three
it was.
doctors.
Yeah, you could kill them all, or you could just kill the one.
Like,
Yeah,
the first one
was-
is the only one that puts up a bit of a fight where he grabs the scalpel and, like, you know, aims it towards you.
Oh, man, I
But
don't
the other
remember
two are
that.
just, like, pressed against the wall, like, you know.
like,
don't
don't
hurt
shoot!
me.
Yeah, don't hurt me. And you can just
Oh
shoot them.
yeah, no, I killed all of them. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Right,
I don't want to
you guys
leave
just
witnesses.
don't have
I mean,
more.
I've already committed the crime. Now I got to follow through with it 100%. I didn't kill enough because yeah, look what happens.
That came back.
Something
You should
happens.
have killed their kids.
Yeah, should have killed the kids, sterilized the family. Damn.
Hey, did you look? I don't know if this is a segue into The Last of Us 2, but did you feel like Joel unrealistically let down his guard when he took on Abby and just followed her to his friend's hideout? You know, at the beginning of the game where they rescue her.
Let's save that for that part, I reckon, because I've got something to say about that actually. I want to save that when we start talking about the actual story. But let's just wrap up part one.
Yep,
So
sounds good.
let's all rate it out of 10. Yeah, how many beer bottles lying on the floor do you rate this out of 10?
Probably 8.5.
Jared?
Yeah, I'd probably go with an 8 too, actually.
Yo, Ed?
Yep, I reckon. I don't want to sound like a
Thinking.
big puppy
It's gonna
like
take a
everyone
while.
is saying, but yeah,
8.25?
I reckon solid 8.
And for me, I would probably go like a 6.5 or 7, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit of the thought that maybe I didn't like the game as much because I was expected to like the game.
Yeah.
And I get a bit like that
Yeah, the hype might have built up.
when there's a lot of hype behind something. that
I'll show them how
everyone
much this
likes
game
it.
sucks.
Yeah, that I just am like trying to grind it out, and maybe I didn't enjoy it, but yeah.
So
Yeah.
this game for me, after I played it, I decided that this was probably going to be one of my favorite games of all time. So I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
Ooh,
And
let's go.
Yep, fair
I
enough.
knew this was a really good game going in, but I knew nothing about it. All I knew was that it's got a really good story and it's supposed to be an awesome game. I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a crack. It's about time. And yeah, boy was I, blown away. So this is probably one of my top 10 games I've ever played of all time, and I give it a pretty much a perfect score.
The gameplay, like as much as I did like it, I just found that, like a lot of games, I fall into the traps where I keep repeating the same type of movements, like, just going sneaking through every corner, being as quiet as possible. And like, yeah, it felt a bit similar in part two, but yeah, that's the only reason why I drop a few points on it. Just the repetitiveness of like the mechanics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, speaking
Also,
of part two,
I'd also drop a few
Okay.
points. Similar to that reason, but just because it doesn't require any skill, right? You literally just chuck a bottle at some.
You need to kill zombies.
No, man. When
Yeah, true.
when I did the hardcore mode or whatever it was called, you just throw a bottle at them and stab them one shot. Every single zombie in the
Oh,
game.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, well, that's just
Well, that
exploits.
takes
But
skill,
yeah,
right?
it's a fair reason to knock it down a bit.
Yeah, well, let's get stuck into part two. So, first impressions. Oh, hang on, before we start, full spoiler warning. We're going to talk about all the spoilers from the get go. So, yeah, you've been warned. Huge, massive, six
Oh.
spoilers.
Yeah, weren't there spoilers already before the game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Even still, you've been warned.
first impressions.
Been
What do you
warned.
what do you think? Who liked the game?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was really funny though. Like after playing the game, like just from a purely story perspective, I kind of felt myself, feeling really unsure about it. And I watched a few videos on YouTube, like getting other people's opinions, and part of it, like reflected on me and the way that I felt. Some of it took a while to sink in, like literally, like it would like the day after, or even like 2 or 3 days later on. I would just keep thinking about what these people said, and he just like really sunk in. And I found that as more time passed, I actually had a greater appreciation for it. To now where I can comfortably say, like, yeah, I really liked it, and there were some really risky moves, obviously, but I thought it was done like so well, and it was very brave. So yeah, it's a good game, and I don't care what anyone else says.
I'd echo that too. I was pretty impressed straight off the bat anyway, not just by the graphics, but by the realism of the gameplay. That is actually a part that pissed me off, but we'll get back to that at another point a little bit later on. But for the most part, the realism of it and just the way it functioned was awesome. I was a huge fan of that and loved the story, loved everything that they changed about it as well, just to keep it different. Totally understand that. Get why people would be pissed off with it, but yeah, I thought it was great. And the main theme of the story, even though a lot of people might say it was heavy-handed, and I can agree with that, but the end result I thought was actually brilliant.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there. So, I loved this game. Fucking loved it. I think it was done so brilliantly with the split storyline, and the graphics were obviously amazing. And I think some things could have been improved or maybe expanded a bit, like the battle mechanics or the stealth mechanics. But all in all, it was really compelling, and it keeps you sort of on the edge, and you sort of always want to see what happens next, because it's not so much that you're with these characters the whole way. It's because it's because you disagree with the characters that kind of makes it compelling. Does that make sense?
Because you agree with what they were doing is the reason why you were invested.
No, because you disagree with what they're doing.
Oh, you disagree
Yeah.
with them.
It's kind of the opposite.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was amazing, and I think kudos to Naughty Dog and all the developers for the work they did.
I'm a little bit of the same as what I was in the first one, actually. Like, I still can't decide properly if I enjoyed it or not. I don't know. I don't know if it's like I don't play for a long enough stretch, but I found like for a good chunk of it, I just kind of found it a bit boring. And like, I don't know if it's because of the zombies and whatever, but like when I'm watching the movies and the narrative is playing out, and then I get interrupted by like all these scary ass zombies running all over the place, it kind of distracts me. That is until I played as Abby, actually. And once I started playing as her, that is when I actually started to really get into the game. And I don't know if it's just because I personally couldn't connect with Ellie, maybe, and I felt like I could connect with Abby for some reason. It's just like, until I got to that point in the game, I was just kind of like playing it because I just wanted to get through it and like see the story develop and see if I could get into it. But I think after completing it, I think I did enjoy the game, but it doesn't necessarily rate as, to me personally, as one of like the greatest games that I would play.
Cool. All right. I'll try to take a swing at how I kind of felt about this game, but I powered it out over that first weekend, and while I was playing the game, I genuinely enjoyed playing the game. I thought that they had improved the combat system, not enough, obviously, but they had improved it. The graphics were amazing. The story was enjoyable. I especially loved the intro, where they killed Joel the way that they did. I thought it was an incredible start to the game. And then I felt like everything else just kind of went downhill as the game went on. And I think the reason being is that when I finished it and I thought about the decisions that everybody made in that game, it just didn't feel realistic to me. I think that when you think about the first game, it's not hard to justify the decisions that every single character made in that game, because they felt realistic. They felt like, oh yeah, okay, if a person lost his daughter, then he would genuinely probably get attached to somebody who reminded him of his daughter and would make the decision at the end to keep her alive over, those are just realistic kind of motivations. I didn't find the motivations of Ellie or Abby realistic. And here's why. One, there's like, I don't know if you could hate somebody you've never met, you've never seen, the way that Abby hated Joel. Never seen him, held onto it as her entire life, and then her first interaction with Joel, he was kind, he saved her, he helped her, and she didn't even give it a second thought about murdering him in front of somebody who obviously loved him as well. Like, there was like a total disconnect or a suspension of disbelief for me when it came to thinking through the motivations of these characters. Similarly, at the opportunities that Ellie got to actually kill Abby, or that Abby got to kill Ellie, they had already killed so many people that I just couldn't fathom why you would be stopped from killing that person. Like, you had killed all of their friends, people that they just knew, who just got in your way. She had killed like 100 people by the time she got the chance to kill Abby, and she decided there in that moment that she wasn't going to kill Abby. Like, that didn't make sense to me. And there were a lot of things like this throughout the story that when I kind of reflected and I thought about, would that be a decision that I would make, or could I see somebody actually doing something like that? It just really took me out of my personal, enjoyment of that story itself. So overall, I think that kind of lowered how I, would overall rate the game, and that's why I just, after a few weeks of sitting on it, I decided that I didn't really like it.
It's been ages since we've all had a chance to like actually sit down and just talk about this, and I've been so genuinely curious to hear your thoughts on it there, Yale. And it's funny, like I agree with parts of what you say and other parts not so much, but I don't even know what I was trying to get at there, but it's just really good to actually hear what everyone else thinks about it, because it's the first time after 2 months or so of playing the game.
I know.
I think you're right though about that first interaction with Joel and Abby. That makes it weird, but to me, like if someone killed my dad, I have some. I think I would burn hell to
Yeah.
kill whoever.
That was a part that I
like,
was going to say.
I would burn
disagree
hell to
too.
kill whoever killed my dad. Like to me, but then you are right. Like if it's hard to put myself in the position. Like if I was to meet the person who did it, and they showed me kindness, they saved me. Would that change how I had felt for years, like building this person up as the person who killed my dad? And it's hard to know.
I think for me,
Anyway,
I
that-
would want to know why. You know what I mean? And if the answer, like, if that was the interaction I got, like somebody saved my life, somebody was kind to me, helping me, I would genuinely want to know, like, why? Why did you kill my dad? Not just kill him with no answers. You know what I mean? Like she should have.
Yeah.
She should have put him in like some cell or something, or held him up and really got her feelings out there, because she got no resolution from killing Joel.
But you know what? The thing is, though, she knew exactly why. Like, all the Fireflies knew exactly why that he had done it, and she didn't really need to confront him, because his answer would have just been that, like, yeah, I cared about her. That's why I saved the girl, and your dad was in the way, so I had to do what I did.
And
The answer was always going to be the same.
But
the reason why I think that she did it so quickly was just because if she did let it drag out, there was that possibility that Joel was gonna grow an Abby, and then she would have had that heart torn decision of, should I kill this guy or not? Whereas if she did it quick like a band-aid, like she did, problem was solved in her eyes.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I think because at this point in the game, we don't know anything about Abby, and I think it's reasonable to assume that she just killed Joel without any disregard, and the fact that he showed her kindness and all that stuff, it would probably make me more angry than anything. I'd be like, oh, this fucking freak, he's actually a nice guy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna show you.
That's what I meant. That's why she
Yeah.
probably did it so quickly before she had that chance to have a change of heart.
And we find out later that she spends years obsessing over killing him, or finding him and killing him. So it kind of makes sense to me. It's not a perfect story, and sequels never are. But I think the execution was done reasonably well with what they chose to go with.
Yeah, I think it's probably a matter of being able to relate to the decisions that she made, and I think that for me personally, I couldn't relate to that, because for me, I'd always want to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Like, yeah, you killed my father, but like, are you actually, like, did you kill him because you're this monster that I dreamed you up to be, or are you actually just somebody I can relate to who was trying to save somebody that they cared about? So, like,
But see, you can't relate to that, because that's the point. The point is, you are introduced to Abby halfway through the game, and you're like, oh, I don't want to play this bitch, But then you're supposed to slowly, empathize with her, and then she turns around and she saves those kids and all that.
well, that's what I'm saying, John.
to-
That's why I'm saying that I genuinely enjoyed the game as I played it, and it wasn't until the end of the game where I had time to let the game itself simmer in my mind, because when you find out who Abby is in the second half of that game, you realize that she's very disconnected from that person who would just kill somebody, like that. Like, she's somebody who helps kids, who empathizes for her enemies, right? People that she had been fighting against her whole life, and she saved them, and she helped them, and she even fought her own people to do that. So that doesn't really make sense that she wouldn't even consider talking to Joel or trying to figure it out.
But that only happened because of the way that I forgot what it was, but there was some turning point that happened during the game, and then she woke up from that nightmare where she did that, and like that came really unexpected. Like, even I think Owen was like really surprised that that she would risk going to save these kids that she didn't even know about.
I'm glad
But I remember that was something that kind of grew on her. Like, it wasn't something that she would have done, the same Abby pre-game. would have made that decision. It was something that was a turning point for her.
So that's what you. So I think you're referring to like back to what you said about her killing Joel quick, so that she didn't allow herself to develop these
Yeah.
feelings for Joel, like she did end up developing for the kids. So she just had to rip that bandit and swing
Yeah,
that.
pretty much.
I'm not giving you a chance.
I also thought Abby was a pretty terrible character that they try to make me like. I think about it in that scene where she was willing to kill Dina, even though Dina was pregnant, and it was the little Scar kid who said, "Don't do it." It's like,
Yeah.
where is your judgment? Like, what's going on? What's wrong with you?
It's because her best mate was like that chick that was pregnant before. She was so horrified that she was killed by her that, of course, she just had this insane revenge in order to do the same to someone else. Like, with that sort of like a white rage that she would have been feeling, that's the reason why she would have done it. At least that's my personal opinion on it anyway. I can understand how she would be so pissed off and enraged by what had just happened that she would just literally slaughter anyone or anything because of it.
That's it.
It just took that moment to pause. And I don't think it was Liv that did it. I think it was just the fact that someone made her stop for that second to make her realize what she was doing, and that's the reason why she stopped doing it.
I'll just keep adding in points why I don't like this game, and you guys can keep just... I was totally distracted by the amount of political shit going on in this game as well. Like, I get you trying to make all these political statements about how this is normal and it's okay, but I found it so distracting. I was like,
no, I tend to disagree actually, because I know, I know a lot of people. I think that's the main reason why everyone cracked it about this game, But, I mean, we know that Ali is gay. We know that from the first game, right? What was the other thing? This butch girl. Well, she's not butch to begin with. She was just this normal girl, and then when she becomes obsessed with, getting back at Joel, she becomes all jacked, and she wants to be so powerful that she can, take on someone like that, And then the thing with the kid Lev, well, I think that's so realistic because you've got this psycho religious cult they've got this stupid plan for all the women in there to be like, oh, the plan for your life is you're going to be married to some lord, and as if you wouldn't want to change to a boy if that was going to be your destiny. I would, So no, I don't think it was in your face and shoved in. I think it was I actually barely noticed it until I really thought about it.
I didn't find it that distracting as well either. It did catch my attention when it was first introduced, but after a while, it just kind of seemed normal. The only one that it did get a bit distracting was with Lev. Just because I think I wasn't paying attention to a certain part earlier on, and then I was thinking, wait, is this a dude or a girl? And I was thinking about it for too long, but then, that was the only time. But in terms of Ellie and Abby, Dina, it wasn't something that I found just constantly distracting throughout the game.
Well, here's my question: could they have told the story the same without those elements?
Yes.
Yes.
I think so.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Then
I don't think so.
Wait, I didn't even know that there was trans in there. Who was trans?
The little kid.
Really? What the heck?
Did you even play the game?
I'm only learning this now too.
What? Serious?
That's a good thing, really.
I did not pick up on any of that. And wait, Ellie was gay? I picked up on that at the end.
Look, I'll give you.
I had no idea about Liv.
I might say, okay, maybe the Lev thing, they could have, if they wanted to leave that out, the story wouldn't have changed much. But that's Ali's character, and that's Abby's character, and you're supposed to look at Abby's character. Sorry, you're supposed to look at Abby and you're supposed to find her intimidating and this fucking beast of a woman, and then you're supposed to change your mind about that and realize actually she's just this really she's supposed to be this really empathetic person, and that the person she's turned into is not a reflection of who she really is.
Yeah, I found this game a bit weird because all along you like build up Ellie and Joel as these big heroes, and they're amazing in the first one, and then they flip the script on it in the second one, and now it's like I'm rooting for Abby, and so it's like, what the hell? I've bought this statue of Ellie, like now I don't like her. Like, what the heck is this?
And that's what I
game
love
trying to-
about this game. I reckon that's what they did so well. They went against people's expectations, and I love it when that catches you off guard. You know.
Yeah.
So did
I
you
guess
like
that's
did,
part of
did
the
you like the
biggest
final
reason.
season of Game of Thrones?
I don't think anyone liked the final season.
This is where he discredits him. He's trying to get us to discredit ourselves by admitting to this shit. No one did. It's clearly a blatant trap.
But the other thing about this game, which I forgot to mention before, so when I was playing it, I played the first one with my wife watching me play through the whole thing. So I thought, you know what, when this second one comes out, we'll do the same thing. I'll only play when she's ready, and so I only got to play like 2, 3, if I was lucky, 4 hours a night, and play in bursts like that. But yeah.
Only 3 or 4
Yeah,
hours.
well, I really wanted to power through this game. Like, if it was up to me doing it alone, I would have done like 10-hour sessions. But that's the thing, though. Like, obviously you're connected and invested to Joel and Ellie because you've been through them in the first game, and in this second one, I still remember like when you first play as Abby, it was like, man, what the fuck, man? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to play this. Like, and I remember purposely letting her die a bunch of times just because, like,
How many times
Like,
can I just
I
kill
don't-
her?
I'm just gonna run
Yeah.
into that zombie.
Exactly, man. And that's what I did because I have felt nothing for her, which rightfully so. No player should have felt anything for her at the very start. But then, as the time went on, and how I said it really sunk into me, like days after I'd finished it, I remember like talking to my wife, like a week later, and just we're in bed, and then I just all of a sudden turned to her and like, hun, you know what? I really don't like Ellie that much. Like I really felt like a lot more connected to Abby, and the reason why it took me so long to say that to her because I didn't even want to admit it to myself, man. And that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why I really like the game so much more because it made me so conflicted and torn that I had to fight myself to have a proper opinion on it.
Wait, why didn't you like Ellie?
Like I don't know, like, or not that I didn't like her, sorry, that was the wrong words, but I felt much more compassion, like much more connected to Abby. Like I reasoned with her decisions a lot more than I was able to reason with Ellie.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll second that too.
I
actually.
didn't like Ellie because I was like, come on, dude, I've like let you live so many times, you're gonna keep like trying to come and kill me? Like, chill. Like,
Because
I'll tell you why I didn't like
just
Ellie.
stay on your farm.
I'll tell you why I didn't like Ellie. Because and this is not a problem with the game. This is a problem with the character. And so in the first game, Ellie is this like fun, smart-assed, kid, and she's like enjoyable to be with and to watch. And then the second game, by then she's so like destroyed by everything that's happened, and she becomes this like boring, pessimistic, monotone person.
I actually think it's bad writing. I just feel like they took a great character and then they didn't know how to expand upon her once she had lost everything or the central person in her life. I definitely think they could have written her a lot better than they did. I think the fact that they were able to write, I think the fact that they were able to write Abby so well, because I actually thought that they did write her well. I just don't like the way that they put her into the story at the point that they did, because by the time you're playing Abby, you hate her, right? And then you have to grow to love her, where I think that if they had rearranged the story a little bit, it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, how much better would it have been if they had
I think
day
you
one, then
mentioned
day
that.
1, day 2, then day 2, then day 3, then day 3? Like that would have been so much better. I
I
would
think
have
it's
much
side by
preferred
side,
that.
yeah.
It actually might have been a little bit better, yeah. I was thinking more that there was this, if anyone's played it, Kingdom Hearts 2, you start the story. So Kingdom Hearts 1 is all about a character called Sora. And you go to love him, he's the best, whatever. And then when you start Kingdom Hearts 2, you start playing with a guy named Roxas, and you're like, what the hell? Like, like, where's Sora? Like, what's going on with him and stuff? And you play like a good, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours maybe of the game before you actually go back to the main character. I actually think they should have done that with Abby so that you grow to love this character before you find out that she's the one who kills Joel. And I think that it would have been so much more impactful if they had rearranged the story like that, because then you're like, oh my god, I really like Abby, and she killed Joel. Not, I hate this person, I hate this person, I hate this person. Oh, I actually don't mind them. Because that's how I felt like the storytelling was.
Yeah, I feel differently. Like I really like the way that it was done. Like, and it was a very brave decision, and I think they made that decision consciously. But it really felt that much
Can
more
I just say that
impactful to
these
me,
guys
and,
don't work for Naughty Dog?
Yeah, I know, man. But like, another game that I really loved was the Metal Gear Solid series, and in that game, Metal Gear Solid 2 copped a lot of flack as well, because there was a scene where you start off the game for the first 2-3 hours, you play as Solid Snake, and then all of a sudden they have this bait and switch thing happen where you play as Raiden, who's completely opposite to what Snake is. Like, he's thin, he's got like light colored hair, he's very like unsure of himself, and as the game goes on, you start to connect with him a little bit, and after like decades now, it's people have like found a whole new respect for that kind of game. But I still remember one of the things, because I had a DVD that came with the game, and Hideo Kojima had said that he really loved the way that in the Terminator, part one, Arnie was the he was the bad guy in part one, and then when he comes to part two, all the things that the trailers that had come out to it, you always assume that Arnie was the same character that he was in the first one. And when he actually first went in to watch the Terminator 2, he was like so surprised of the angle that he took, and he really loved the way that had lasted on him, not only throughout the film but even afterwards. That he wanted to use that same kind of tactic when he made this video game, Metal Gear Solid 2. And I really felt that was one of the first impressions I got with Abby coming into the game later on, that you spent so much time with Ellie, and then all of a sudden you come in to play Abby the whole way through. And yeah, just after it was done, I really felt that connection again back to Metal Gear Solid 2 and also Terminator 2. So that's why I appreciate it a lot more, the way that it was done.
Well, your point would still be made if Abby was the main character from the beginning. Because Terminator 2
I don't
started.
think so.
Yeah, because Terminator 2 started with Arnie being the good guy.
I only thought he was.
Yeah, but Abby or Ellie aren't the bad guys in this game. There's no bad guys really between the two.
Yeah, and that's what makes it really good. And also, I don't know how you'd tell that story with Abby as the first character. Like, you'd have to start the story with Joel already dead. Or I don't know.
Well, you just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, I want to like Ellie, and I feel like if they did switch the story around, I could have finished the game still feeling how I felt about Ellie from the first one, and then rather than
hating Ellie,
not
and then...
liking. Yeah, like I feel like I wanted to end the game liking Ellie, but I ended the game just like couldn't give a shit about Ellie really, and I didn't like the way that ended for me. But
so do you guys hate Ellie now?
Yeah,
not that I hate.
I don't hate her, but I just didn't connect with her as much in this one. And like now I've got the Funko Pop and all this stuff, and it's like, come on, man, why do I even have you?
Should have got Abby.
Yeah. No, I feel very much the same. Like I don't hate Ellie, but if I had to choose which one I liked more, it was definitely Abby. Like I can now confidently say that.
And also, I think I like Abby because, man, like she had like all of the sick weapons, man. Like Ellie had
they
nothing.
did.
Really did.
I'm telling you,
everything.
there was writers' bias towards Abby, man. She got
completely
best story. She got the best ammo. She didn't
agree.
die. Like, at least kill her. Like, you know what I mean? At least kill her.
But you know what? Ellie had the
Not
knife.
The Last of Us 3.
Ellie
Yeah,
had
I
the
was
what?
going to say that too. The blade.
Ali had the knife.
The unlimited blade. Hey,
Yeah.
did you feel like
She
they
had the-
killed one of the best characters in
Ooh.
Owen and then the older sister?
Nah.
Liv's older sister? Who
No,
is
I like that. I like
wow.
that other guy. What's his name?
the girl? I loved Owen, man.
Yeah,
I thought he
I don't
was
know.
good
The,
as.
the older
Yeah,
sister.
I thought Owen was pretty good.
Owen.
He
I
was
think the
decent.
supporting characters were pretty just meh. Like there's nothing special going on there.
Dina was awesome though.
Dina
I know
was
you
awesome.
hate Dina, but
I love
really
Dina.
like Dina.
I really
Yeah,
liked
I
her.
love
Yeah.
Dina.
What does she add to the story?
No, John
Well, a lot
hates
of
Dina.
people say that she didn't have any character, but I actually really liked what she brought to the story. I
I
thought
think she was there as a plot device more than
Nah,
anything. for
I
Ali.
thought she really grounded Ellie. I think that Ellie was a bit wild, and Dina was the only thing that she had to hold on to that was sane. I thought they also messed up Joel's
No.
brother. What's his name?
Yeah, Tommy was a bit funny, wasn't he? There was a couple of things like when he came back to the farm, that seemed odd to me.
That
Yeah,
that was
I didn't
that
like that.
was
I didn't
really
like
weird.
that part.
that was totally out of character for Tommy. Tommy wouldn't even have gone on that revenge plan, because his wife wouldn't have let him.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that guy is pussy whipped, man. Like he's not gonna go out and try and get revenge.
And that was actually the part where I actually fully started to not like Ellie after that, because it's like, come on, like you've settled, like it's fuck, it's done now, like just. And then Tommy comes in and ruins everything. Like Tommy.
See, you guys have this. You have this. You're going about this a different way to I am. Like, to me, it's not a matter of whether or not I like Ali or Abby. I just like the overall story that this game is telling. I almost look at it like a movie, and I say, wow, if this movie maybe sit back and go far out, like, and really think about all the stuff,
But if
days later.
if the main
And I think
character is
it-
Kristen
It doesn't mean we
Stewart,
don't like the game.
but if the main character
Alright,
is Kristen
well-
Stewart, it ruins the movie, right?
Still a better love story than Twilight.
Man, like Twilight.
I feel very much the same as you though, John. Like, I really appreciate the overall thing, but that's why we're here talking. We want to talk about the things that we can critique, and there are, it's definitely not a perfect game, but there are heaps of things that you can be like a little bit nitpicky about, and
Well, speaking of that,
Tommy's one, how he said
yeah,
Owen, I wasn't really a big fan of. I did like Dina and what she brought to the table, but yeah, I felt that Jesse, I liked
I
him.
like Jesse. He had a cool.
I
mullet.
like Jesse.
Yeah, he was alright, wasn't he?
Cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I was I didn't like when he died. He just got freaking shot in the face. Like,
I was like, no one gets resolutions in this
yeah.
game. Like, if you go back to number 1, they summed up every single like mini story in that game quite well.
Yeah, they did. Too.
Like,
Mhm.
and it was
Isn't
a
that
big
part of
deal
the reason
when
that makes it a bit less realistic?
the first game.
Yeah, that can make it a little less realistic because everything did sum up perfectly.
Yeah,
I mean,
agree,
but
yeah.
everyone agreed here that the first game was a masterpiece, except for one person that we won't name.
If it's a masterpiece, you would have given it
Right,
more
name.
than 8 out of 10, wouldn't you?
I hadn't realized actually. Now that you mentioned it, that in the first game they did resolve everything, but that's actually the reason why I really like this game is because even with the main story at the end, it wasn't resolved really properly. But the thing is, that's kind of realistic when it comes to revenge stories like this, because in reality, most of the time when something like someone actually goes and kills your dad or whatever, someone you care about in real life, what do? They go to prison and are out in 4 or 5 years, and you can't really do anything about it. That is the resolution. You're just stuck with trying to just accept that forever. And so I kind of understand why they went this way, and it does seem very realistic to me. If you feel that way about someone, and
not
you
in
can't
a
really do anything about it.
society that has the purge, where for 24 hours there is.
That is very true.
Hey guys, I reckon we should. We've spent a lot of time talking about the story. I think we should move on to other parts of the game.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we're pretty divided, I guess, on the story. But how about the actual gameplay itself? What about the actual game?
Hey, I can see you, John. I couldn't see you this entire time until just now. That's awesome. Okay.
Glad to be here.
Well, I'll carry on with that. So I thought the gameplay was awesome, and I talked about earlier about it being really good and really realistic, and that's what I really liked about this game in the first one and in the second one, until they started implementing that fucking horde mode every so often. So out of nowhere, you can be running around making all this fucking noise, setting off pipe bombs, all this crazy shit, and you kill everyone and everything's fine. And then you go off this little ledge, which for some reason you just slip down all the fucking time, and then everybody's suddenly there, like rushing you and shit, and they all know where you are. Like, what the fuck? Like that pissed me right off. Like,
I like those
and I
parts.
know that happened once or twice in the first game when it made sense. That was fine. And I agree. I do like those parts in other games when it makes sense, but it just made absolutely no fucking sense in this game at all and gave me the shits, which is the reason why I liked it less than the first one.
I tell you why I like those parts, because I tend to have a heavy stealth style of gameplay. So I'm always sneaking up behind people, really conserving ammo, and using like headlocks and knives and shit. But in those horde modes, you're forced to use your guns and actually get good at shooting. And that's something I almost never sort of resorted to unless I really had to. So I like those parts because it kind of mixed up the gameplay and made me mix up the gameplay because I had no other choice.
Yeah, I think.
Actually, I just wanted to quickly check. What difficulty did everyone play this on, by the way?
Normal.
Normal?
I played on hard.
Normal, moderate, whatever it was.
Yeah,
Normal.
normal.
Yeah.
I don't
So
play
most of us
games
were on
hard.
normal, except for you, John, who was on hard.
Yeah.
And you, Jared? Normal?
Yeah, I was on normal as well. I was whatever fucking medium was or whatever.
Yeah.
I started on survivors, whatever the highest one was, and then when I first hit that first horde mode point, I was like, "Fuck this!" And then I went back to normal because there was no trophies anyway. I was like, "Well, what's the point?" And then I was fine, but yeah, I was on normal the whole way, the rest of the way through though.
The reason I did on hard is because when I finished the first game, I didn't know that I was on the last level, right? And I had so much ammo and so many items and equipment that I actually never got to use them all. And I thought it was just such a waste. So I figured, I don't want to actually want a bit more of a challenge because I'm always maxed out with ammo and shit. So I put on hard and pretty much the same thing still happened.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
Can I tell you what my favorite gameplay part of the entire game was? And you probably guessed it, but it was the hospital. You know, the mini boss in the hospital. That was so good.
Yeah.
The mini boss or the actual boss?
I mean, it's not the boss of the game. Like Ellie and Abby are the bosses, right?
What was it called? Rat King or something like
Yeah,
that?
Rat King, yeah.
something? Yeah, okay. No, I just wanted to make sure.
Cool.
Man, when they did it, I was like, damn, I was feeling some Resident Evil shit going down, man. I was like,
totally,
holy
man.
shit, they took one out of Capcom's book, and I thought it was sick as. It was like the best part of the game for me, by far.
That level was
I was
so...
freaking out.
Because, you remember that level because Ali goes down there with Nora. And, like, you spend half the game, like, they all go, oh, don't go down there, it's so fucked. And then now you're going down there as Abby, and you're like, okay, like, maybe there was another part we didn't see that's, like, really fucked.
Man,
And
how
you go in the
messed...
hospital... You go in the hospital and there's no one around. You're like, oh shit, you know that something fuck's gonna happen. And then you see that door, right? You see that door and the Rat King's behind it. And like you try to open the door and you can't open it yet, and you hear something behind the door. But if you go into stealth mode, if you go into your hearing, your sense mode, you can actually see him behind the door, and all you see is this.
I thought they didn't have sense mode on hard.
No, they do.
I think that was the first game they did.
I'm just joking.
You're thinking of
Oh,
yeah, whatever. You put your sense mode on, right? And you can see this big white figure behind the door, but it's too big to be a bloater, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And you come back later, and then the whole door's blown open, and then you're like, holy shit.
I thought,
that was like one of the best parts of the game.
I thought it was a pretty
I didn't know
full
that.
on.
That was brilliant.
That is brilliant. I thought it was a pretty full on moment when Ellie confronts Nora, and Nora's like, "Oh, I can still hear his cries. Like he sounded like a little bitch." Do you remember that point? I was like,
that was
oh
good.
shit, man!
Yeah.
I wanted Ellie to I wanted
That
them
was
to
good.
show us what Ellie did to her, man, because, yeah, that was full on, eh?
Yeah, no, that was really full on that one.
I hate the scenes where I have to go off by myself. I don't know what it is, but in my mind I feel safer when there's another character with me. And I hate like doing all like, oh come on man, like why would you go to the basement of a freaking hospital? Like seriously? Why are you making me come down here?
You know what I think?
I don't spend time looking behind the door, man. I don't want to see what's behind there. I don't want to see some fucking big ass white Rat King hiding behind there. I just want to get out into the daylight as quick as possible.
When I try to think about why you didn't enjoy the game, Fizz, I try to think about when I first played the game, like back in 2013, and anything I heard, I'll just put the controller down and just like sit there and like breathe for a little bit, trying to get
like maybe I'm too much of a chicken or something. Like,
and I'll be like,
oh my god, I'm going into the basement of the hospital. All the lights are on.
Yeah, turn on all the lights.
Music in the background.
Put in like some soothing Marvin Gaye in the background, and then like pick up the controller and then try and do it again. It's
like legitimately, I would start the game at 3 because I knew that I would have at least 4 hours before it got dark outside, and then once it got dark, I'd turn it off.
And that's what I'm thinking. Why you're not enjoying the game, but like you know, these days I just like, oh, zombie, just run through, do everything, and then move on to the next scene.
But actually, fighting that Rat King was pretty fun actually. I hated when that little thing of him broke off of him though.
Yeah.
That thing when I chased it up into
the
the vents. That's like the only part I actually screamed in the game, and I knew it was coming. I'm like, this thing's gonna jump out at me soon. I know it. I know it. And then it did it, and I was like,
what were they called? Those ones again? What were they called? Those ones again? Were they stalkers? The one that like kind of blended into the wall, and then they would like just come out. They were the worst, man. I hated those
they
ones.
Were the worst. I hated those. Can't sense those.
Those are the ones that
that too. Like I remember when I would run around and then I would just see them at the wall. I would always move by like so slowly and keep my gun pointed at it, and then be like, "Okay, nothing's happening," and then I'll run up.
They're the ones that
then they would still pop out.
They're the ones that hide, eh? They're like, so just come out and fight me like a real zombie.
Yeah, you can see them like peeking out from the wall and
stuff. When they start peeking,
the lurkers, I think.
You can't outsmart them. The only way to fight them is to go all fucking full Rambo on them.
You just gotta run out and start killing everything
around them. You can sneak around them.
Yeah, but most of the time they don't fall for it. They're
that's true. They are hard to trick.
Yeah, they know you're there.
They're too smart to be zombies. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they think too much.
Yeah.
Right? Actually, I didn't like the new zombie either. That thing was terrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Shamblers.
Shamblers. Like that.
Shambler.
That did nothing.
Yeah, fuck that guy. They sucked.
Actually, I was pretty disappointed that they didn't come up with more new enemies.
Yeah,
I thought the Rat King was awesome, but that was one boss.
That was it.
That was it.
It's the same, eh?
There's so much room to be creative.
He like appeared at some other point as well.
Yeah.
And
I think they wrote themselves into a bit of a trap with that though, because in the first game, like all the zombies that you encountered were all different stages because of the amount of time they've been infected. So they only had a small margin of a gap where they can say, okay, in order to make the fan base happy in terms of consistency, these ones are from this period to this period long. Or,
they should have mutated into animals though. And
I feel like
Resident Evil.
I feel like they should have taken more risks. I think they played it way too safe with the enemy encounters in this game, and they could have done something creative like that. Like, it infected. It jumped over to like a bat or something, and that bat mutated into
zombie bat. Fuck, then I'd be terrified.
Yeah, because there was all this fan art going around in the years leading up. And there was like, you'd see people make pictures of infected lions and infected gorillas. And I was like, oh my god, this game's going to be awesome.
Like, you're in the jungle, man. Like, where's the infected gorillas?
Yeah, oh, damn.
Like, can you imagine that was like a mini boss fight? Oh, that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Just when you consider that the cordyceps virus doesn't actually exist in real life in animals, it would make sense that it would actually come across that way too.
Yeah, exactly.
The only gorilla you got to fight was that.
That would have been brilliant.
That
Brilliant contrast. That would have been a brilliant
um,
contrast to the original game where the giraffe was like a symbol of hope.
That would be.
It's now a
That's what I
symbol
said.
of death.
Yeah, zombie giraffe.
And then she gets like
That'd be so funny.
flashbacks to this, like, to the giraffe. Oh, that'd be great.
It's like, shit, what do we do?
That'd be brilliant.
Actually, Kurt, what you were saying about that big bitch with the sledgehammer,
Yeah, that's the
she
only.
was more
gorilla.
scary than the Rat King.
Oh, she was freaking scary as frick.
I died about 15 times trying to kill her.
Yeah, I died a few times because I thought it, she starts with 1, right, and then she moves to 2, and then like
Yeah.
and I didn't expect that there was going to be a third swing in there. And
Can you
like,
imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if it took like 3 shotgun shots to kill the lunch lady? It's like the big butch lunch lady is like, damn, why isn't she dying? Because that's all she is, just a big lady.
Yeah, she's just a massive lady
dude,
with a gigantic sledgehammer, right?
It's like, why does she take so long to kill?
And I thought Abby was like buff, but damn,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then this
Hey, what do you-
chick comes along.
What do you think of the just overall like battle mechanics? Because I thought they sort of didn't
I thought it was the
Yeah.
say
same.
much from the
It
first
was the
game.
same. It felt exactly the same as
It
the
felt
first game.
very much the same as the start.
Almost
The first
same,
one,
yeah.
like there were like some improvements, but not too much to kind of felt
Like
like
this-
it was like overhauled or nothing.
So what did you guys not like about the gameplay though? Like what was it like, you're saying it's not been improved, but what was actually wrong with it in your guys' opinion?
I felt
I
like it
don't
was
think that there was
monotonous.
much wrong with it. I think it was just that it got too repetitive. Kind of like and the worst game that did it was like Assassin's Creed, where you
Oh,
just
yeah.
go in and keep doing the same thing over and over again, and that's what it felt like in this game. But how John mentioned before, the play style I did, I was like very sneaky and very conservative with my ammo, and when it did get to that point where it felt really repetitive, I was like, you know what, stuff this, man. And that's when I started to go like all guns blazing, and I found it like much more enjoyable again at that point, because it was a whole new play style that I wasn't utilizing. So yeah, I did like it there, but yeah, it didn't really felt like there was too much different improved compared to the first.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, honestly, I just found myself creating a lot of bombs and then just blowing people up.
Oh man, I never utilized bombs. I just was like lying in the grass, like attaching my little bottles to the
you
tip
can-
of
Yeah,
my
just grabbing
pistol.
bottles.
You can cheese the whole game with bombs. It's so stupid.
I never used one
Got one of my
smoke bomb,
favorite-
actually.
No, yeah, never used a smoke bomb.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, many other.
One of my favorite parts was using those traps, those mines that Ellie had. And like the best things, I don't know if anyone else knows. I know this because you know my feelings on dogs in games. And so
Line
I'd
up the
plant the
dogs.
bomb, right? Yeah, so I'd plant the bomb and I'd go run around the corner. The dog would come first, and then so the dog that explodes into bits, right? And then, but sometimes you'd listen to the AI character like, "Oh no, Harry!" And I'm like, "I killed your dog," and you pull with a shotgun, like, "Fuck you!" Blow out his leg, and they're like screaming in pain, like, "Oh yeah!" And then you stop and kill them, and I'm like, "Fuck you!"
How about
Just
when
like ruin this person's day. Hey.
How about when every single NPC is like, no, they killed Lisa, and it's like, and it's like,
It did get a
come
bit
on,
of
man,
that
like
afterwards.
the 10th time is like, how many
It was
Lisas
cool
are
at the
there?
start. It was cool at the start,
Yeah.
but yeah, after a while, it did felt a bit too much.
Actually, you know what I got annoyed by as well was when you become visible and then it has that sound effect that you're in line of sight.
Makes it
But-
easy, doesn't it? It's like
Yeah,
too
but
easy.
but it does it like when there's no chance of them even seeing you either. So I would stand up to aim my bow or whatever, and then it would be like the sound, and then oh shit! So I duck back down, and I'm looking around, and like the dude's way the fuck like over there
You
behind a
get
tree,
like-
and I'm like, that dude would never see me in real life. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
I found that music a bit distracting. But
Oh,
yeah, it does
yeah.
make it easy too.
The swimming levels were really good. I thought like that level where you're playing as I can't remember if it's Abby or Ali, but like you're in this building with fucking heaps of people and you got to take them all out, and you swim underneath
Oh yeah,
the building
Oh,
into
yeah,
all these
yeah.
different, and you take one guy out, then they'll come after you, then you
Oh,
jump
yeah,
back
yeah.
under the water and you swim somewhere else. Oh,
Hey,
that was
pretty
really
sure
good.
that was with Ali.
You know,
Yeah.
now that you're talking about, can I tell you
I nailed that
my
part.
favorite part of the game was the scene with Ellie and Joel
You
at the
just
museum.
say it already?
No, that was
Oh,
my
you
favorite
as well, huh?
gameplay. That was my favorite.
No, I
gameplay.
didn't.
okay.
You spoke over him. No, I didn't hear what he said.
No, my favorite part of the game was the scene with Joel and Ellie at the museum. You know, where she gets into the rocket ship.
Yeah. I like that.
Man,
scene. That was-
Man,
nostalgic scenes.
I cried, man. I was like, damn, that's real.
Yeah, that was actually emotional.
I actually thought that dragged on a bit, that scene.
Get.
Yeah, I
What's
felt
wrong
the
with
same way
you?
too.
I mean, I still spoke to
I
every
like
dinosaur, but you know.
Yeah,
Did you put the hat
Did
on
you
to
put all the
every
hats on all the dinosaurs?
Yeah,
as well?
all the dinosaurs?
Yeah.
But when they went up in that shuttle, that was like
That hit me in the feels, man, hard.
that hit me in the
Oh.
feels.
Had the headphones and everything.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a bit heavy-handed personally. But that's okay.
Geez, some people just got.
I liked it in the
emotion.
first game, but not in the second game.
Yeah, I reckon the flashbacks sometimes drags on a bit. I know they kind of have to have them for the story, but I don't know. I didn't enjoy them as much as I don't know. I guess you guys did.
Actually, one part of the gameplay that I didn't like was every time I would stealthily strangle someone, and then their eyes went all fucking crazy and googly, and like, oh man, I absolutely hated that shit. Like you're strangling them, and then they've got like this weird ass look on their face, and then their eyes are flickering all over the place.
Oh, I didn't notice. Do you have?
No, I didn't notice that either.
And you would see like Ellie as well.
They look
like looking all like really
they
mean
look
and shit
crazy,
as well.
man. Like they're possessed or something. I don't know why they did that. They tried to make it realistic, but their eyes are like
I think so.
spinning around in circles.
I'll have to.
Yeah,
that's
go
all I'm
strangle
gonna see
someone
next
and
time when I play
watch
that.
it again.
Yeah.
Just look for their eyes.
We sit there like, what is this shit?
Yeah,
Actually, I reckon my two favorite parts. I know we're talking about the Rat King, but I think what I like better than that were the two fight scenes between Abby and Ellie. And the first one in the movie, the theater, right? So you're playing as Abby, right? And you go in and you're like, I'm gonna fucking beat the shit out of her because I'm Abby, right? I'm fucking jacked and all that. And then you go in and then Ellie just like one hits you, like kills you in one shot. And then when you die, and then the loading screen comes up and it says, "Do not engage Ellie head on," and you're like, "Oh shit!" Like Ellie's a fucking ninja, and you just remembered that you spent like 1.5 games being this fucking ultimate badass, and like you can't just, and you realize how dangerous she is after that. And then
she shot me in the face a few
yeah.
times.
But you try and throw bottles
Absolutely.
at her, and she dodges them, and you're like, "Oh shit, she can dodge bottles! Like, what do I do now?"
I don't know if you guys started in the same spot, but man, like I struggled because like whenever I respawn, Ellie was standing right beside me. So every time I respawn, Ellie would just shoot me straight in the face. And I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to get past this? Like I couldn't do anything. I was just like spawn and then just like poof, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like this is bullshit. So I think I had to go back and restart it a little bit because I couldn't get past it. I don't know if you guys started in the same kind of situation.
Nah,
I didn't have that one happen to me.
I just wanted
Ellie
Ellie to kill Abby.
So you just keep running into Ellie on purpose, like Ed was doing with Abby at the start, just running her off the cliff.
You know what? It's funny though because at that point in the game, I still remember when I was playing as Abby and you fighting Ellie there. I let myself die a few times because of how I felt at the start. But then at that point, after I let myself die a bit, I was like, man, I kind of don't want to just yet. Like, I want to actually see if I can survive or end it peacefully at least. Obviously, that wasn't an option.
Yeah.
You know what they could have done to improve the gameplay though? They could have like introduced mechanics where you don't have to freaking kill everybody. Like I felt
that would be awesome.
I know, right?
like it was a bit unrealistic that she would kill every single person that she encountered on her way to kill Abby. It's like, how does that make sense?
Yeah.
But you don't have to. If you just make it to the next area, you can just skip all that.
No, there's like people you have to
but
kill.
then you
as well.
can't get all the collectibles and shit.
Yeah.
But did you guys have the time where like you would be able to like sometimes every so often people would surrender?
Yes,
Yeah, I
and you
shot
couldn't
them
do
anyway.
do anything about it.
You just shoot them.
No matter what happened.
Yeah.
If I tried to leave them so many times and they'd always end up shooting me no matter what I did.
I felt that
Always had to end up killing them.
Well, that's your fault.
I never had him surrender. I just
What could you do? They're surrendering. I'm trying to walk away from them, and they turn around and shoot me. And
You
shit.
can't trust them, mate.
Well, think about it like
God,
this,
you
right?
bullshit.
Like you work for, or you're part of a community, or you work for a company, or whatever, right? Not every single person in that company is a bad person trying to kill everybody. You know what I mean?
Oh no, everyone that I work with in my company is a bad person trying to kill people. That's 100% for sure. Yeah,
That is.
that's just me.
But you know what I mean? Like, you should have been able to spare some of these people. Like, some of these people had
Yeah.
wives and kids, and they were just
Yeah,
doing
it
the
would be
job
good
to
to
get
have
a
a
little bit of
choice.
money, right?
And like the Washington Liberation Front was kind of like forcing people into them anyway,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like you get fucked if you weren't a part of them as well. So it was like they weren't all bad; they were just kind of there because they had to be.
You had to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their base was pretty sick though.
It was awesome.
Like that college,
That
that
was so
stadium.
Stadium, eh?
Man, like they were set.
Yeah, they did all right, eh?
Like far out.
Yeah, so I guess
So before I forget, one of the parts that I really liked as well. So I know you already said that you didn't really like those horde moments, but do you remember the time when you're playing as Abby and then you have that horde encounter where you have to help them escape from that little
Yeah.
room, and you have to like get them over the window, then the door's locked and they can't get you out? That part,
Oh.
man, that was so brilliant. Like I shit myself so hard there, but once it was all done, I felt so good and so relieved. I think I just paused the game and just sat there for a few minutes just to like catch my breath. But yeah, for some reason that was a part of the game that just really stuck with me. Like I really enjoyed that scene. Looking back onto it.
actually just before that, the when you're running through the forest and they're all chasing you, the stalkers, that was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I think that felt like a movie. That part.
That was good.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
that was
yeah.
cool
That was
too.
cool.
I don't know. For some reason, it was just that other one. Like it just was so. It was just so good. Just loved it so much.
That was actually the part that I finally got really shitty at it and decided to call it horde mode because I couldn't fucking stand that part. That drove me nuts. I couldn't even work out what the fuck I was supposed to do. I got so agitated, and that was the part that probably most pissed me off about the game. Just for contrast.
I struggled in that part because I had lost all my resources at that point.
Hey, can I ask you?
Yeah, I
Oh,
struggled
no.
hard as well, man. But maybe that was why I liked it so much, just because I felt so accomplished
The
on doing that
challenge.
challenging bit.
What are you gonna say, Yao?
I was just gonna say, what was Liv's older sister's name?
Yara.
Yara. Hey, do you feel like it was a bit of a waste of time to go back and save Liv when Yara just died? So it's just like an exchange of a person.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
That's a
true,
little
right.
bit dumb, eh?
That last level though was pretty good too. When you're on the island.
Oh yeah, that was sick. I really enjoyed that. That was a lot
But
of fun.
again, I didn't realize that was the last part of the game, so I had all this fucking ammo, and then you just drop it all, and that's it. I'm like,
They need to tell you what chapter you're
Oh,
up to.
that
John.
sucks.
yeah. Anyway.
Progression bar.
But actually, one
I'm
Or at
almost
least
at
have
the
a
end. Can
signpost
start using
somewhere.
the ammo.
Use all ammo here.
one actually thing that really shit me was when you first rock up at Seattle, and you have it's kind of like not open world, but you have a map, and you can do whatever you want in whatever order you want, and you don't even have to do half the objectives on the map. And I thought, oh, this game's going to be really awesome because the first game
It
was
was
like,
the only.
Yeah.
It was
It was
the
like-
only open level. It was so
That's
weird.
right.
That
and
was
the
so
first game
weird.
was the opposite,
Yeah.
and then you finish Seattle, and then the rest of the game is just like, oh, follow the corridor.
You know,
Like, oh.
I want to point out something here. This is where I felt that the storytelling was a little bit disjointed because I actually think they came into this game a little bit more ambitious than they actually could achieve. And that open area in Boston was an example of it because I actually think that that's the design philosophy they were going for in the game, and then they
actually
realized it
was.
was too hard because to
Yeah.
create that entire thing with all of these mini objectives, they were just like, it's too much.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they actually
was awesome. I love
intended
that.
to
Yeah.
have a hub world type thing,
Yeah.
probably at the cinema.
Yeah.
But then they decided it sort of doesn't fit the narrative of what they're going for, so they scrapped
Yeah.
it. But the other,
Right.
it's funny what you say there, yeah, because this game was in development for like 6 years, and I wonder if like during that time they had a lot of like they chopped and changed a bit
You
And
know,
then maybe that's why the development blew out for so long.
I actually think that they cut a few things out of the game and that they changed stuff at the last minute based on the leaks. And this is why I think that the point where Tommy died, I think Tommy was supposed to die there. And I think that, you know, when they go back to the house having accomplished nothing but surviving, I actually think that was the end of the game, and the leaks came out all at that point, and, you know, people hated the game and the ending of the game. Because that tack on at the end where it's like weeks had or months had passed or whatever, and she still couldn't get Abby out of her mind, so they go on that last quest to go kill Abby again, and then she's been tied up at the end, and she lets Abby go. I actually think that wasn't supposed to be part of the game.
I totally disagree there.
Well, think about it like this.
I never really thought about it, but
when you went back
bring
to
up
the
some
farm,
point.
when you went back to the farm the first time, you could sit there and go, "This is the end of the game."
Sorry,
and
guys,
then
I have to go for a second.
Yeah, that's okay. And then, because I felt legitimately surprised there was more going on.
Yeah, I think everyone felt like that. Oh, I'm at the end, right? I even saw Ed like, I've just finished, and then no.
And I think if you're getting that feeling, I think that's because that was supposed to be the end.
It felt like a natural end to me.
Yeah.
The only reason I disagree, Al, is because I don't think they could have done that whole section of the game in like 2 months.
Yeah.
How early did the leaks come out?
About 2 months. About 2 months prior, I think.
Yeah.
That'd
be way too hard to do. It'd be very.
Yeah, it would be too hard. Yeah,
but
it
also
could have been part
that-
of a plan, but yeah,
that final scene where you're looking for Abby, and like you're looking at all the people crucified on the poles, and you're like, "Fuck, she's not here." And then you walk past her, and then like the camera cuts, and you're like, "Who the fuck's this person?"
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
realize, "Oh shit, she's been so like malnourished, and she's so fucked up, and then she looks nothing like she should." And then you're supposed to go and kill this person, and you're like, "You can't kill this person," you know, like she's like a shadow of her former self, you know. I thought that last fight scene, and it was like when they're in the water, it's like it was so desperate that I don't know, it was just like it was done so well. I thought there's no way that was just like a last minute sort of decision.
I reckon you should have got a choice to kill Abby. I think that should have been left up to the player as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Because I think then you get to make the decision.
Then you make the decision, right? Yeah. And then how you felt about the game. Because it's like, punch. And I'm like, fuck, I don't want to punch her. Like, she's fucking half dead in the water. And I just like
and
left
me, I
my
was like,
controller, but it
kill
doesn't
her.
do... And like, you leave the controller and it doesn't give you an option. So you're like, fucking punch. And then it's just like, why am I doing this? Yeah, you should have been given choices. It would have been good, but
Actually, going back to the farmhouse scene, that part where you're chasing after the last baby goat or baby lamb or whatever, and then Ellie has she freaks out, and then like I actually got really scared. I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to go down those stairs.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna die.
I thought those trauma scenes, they were done so well.
I felt like this farm was set up unrealistically. Like, I think if you live in a world with zombies, you'd have massive fences around your farm.
yeah,
Well, there was a massive fence. Wasn't
Yeah,
there?
true.
it was just a normal fence. I think.
Oh yeah, there was.
Oh well. Yeah. I mean, that's the.
Then
I
I'll
mean,
keep
I
them
guess.
happy.
I guess it isn't meant to be realistic because it kind of wasn't. For them,
It's like the farmhouse on. There's a farmhouse on The Walking Dead though, so I'm trying to think whether they had. They didn't have
don't compare this to The Walking Dead.
They had big fences. Oh no, they kept all the zombies in the barn actually.
Yeah, Walking Dead's way better than this game.
No way.
Especially the late.
Hey, Fizz,
So what were the leaks that came out before the game? Because I was trying so hard to avoid everything.
I'm pretty sure it was the scene where
Joel dies.
yeah.
That was a spoiler.
Yep.
There's a trans in the story. That was a spoiler. And Tommy dies. That was a spoiler.
Oh,
Ah.
actually, you know, I do know that they put some misdirects in the trailers.
Yeah,
I don't know about.
You
I
remember
don't know
the
about
one,
the
eh?
leaks.
Yeah, where
I
like
watched
Joel
some of
was
those
like,
videos.
"Oh, did you think I was gonna let you do this alone?" And then it was Jesse.
Yeah.
Man, I knew that was a misdirect, but I was praying that like Joel survived.
Actually, I want to talk about this. So, I didn't watch any of the trailers, right? Or maybe I did, but this is what shits me, right? So I didn't know anything going into this game, and then the spoilers came out of the leaks. Sorry, and everyone cracked the shits. And I didn't watch the leaks. I didn't talk to anyone that knew what the details were. But I thought, for there to be this much backlash, it can only mean one thing, and that's that Joel dies. And I pieced that together because he was hardly in any of the trailers. And I thought, well, he's obviously either a non-playable character or he's dead. And I thought, oh, well, I bet that's going to happen. And then it did. And I thought, oh, that was kind of spoiled for me because I was really expecting it.
Like I said, I didn't mind the fact that Joel died, but now that we're talking about spoilers, I posted a theory in March on my Twitter about how I thought the game was going to play out and who killed Joel, etc., etc. And then in May, literally like a few months before it came out, right, somebody responded to my comment in March and said, "What are you talking about? The spoiler's already out there and Joel dies by getting clubbed to death by Abby." And I was like, I fucking hate you. I messaged the dude on Twitter and I said, you're a toxic loser.
Man, so you got like the full spoiler rundown.
Like when I went into the game, I said, okay, well, if that happens, it happens. If it doesn't, great. And then when it happened,
at least it happened at the start.
Yeah, when it happened, it was still powerful.
Yeah,
I still thought it was quite a good moment. I thought it was like one of the most strongest parts of the game. So I don't care that they killed Joel the way that they kill him. The things that I care about are just the way that they told the story, like I said, in the order that they did, and then probably the lack of love that they gave to Ellie's character for a lot of the scenes. I thought the game was made up of a lot of good moments, and if you just played the game, you would enjoy it beginning to end. But when you're cursed with this mind that thinks too much, then
Come on, mate.
That's where the problems come up.
So, do you think there's going to be a part 3?
No.
I reckon they've just left the door open for it.
I don't
Like with the way the ending was, I think.
I don't want there to be a part
50-50.
3 now.
I don't think there will be.
Why
I don't think there will be.
Why don't you want there to be a part 3?
Because they messed up part 2.
Yeah, because now I don't know if I like the characters or whatever. And
Do you think the door's left open for a part 3?
I reckon you can make a part 3 in anything.
I mean, you can always force something, but yeah, I think they should just let it rest.
Could even be the baby JJ in part 3
No.
if they really wanted it to.
Yeah,
you
can always force a part 3, right? Yeah, you can always do something.
Yeah, but what would you do? Like
and
Ellie,
you said if doctors come back and then
Ellie gets
can
more revenge
nominate
again.
herself again to be killed and save humanity, something.
I reckon if they had have ended it just at the farm, then that would have been a great way to just complete the series. But with that extra bit, level Act 3, whatever it was, that only because of that Act 3, I reckon that they might be a Last of Us Part 3. But if they had just ended at the farmhouse, that's when they could have just been like, yeah, that's enough. We've done the game. We've made the game and we can leave it there.
If they were going to do a part 3, it shouldn't be part 3, but it should be like a prequel.
I think if
Maybe.
they're going
not
to expand any more on the story, I would like to understand more about the world that they're living in, and not just these kind of petty things where they're going for I think it was a better story when it was bigger in the first one, because they started off with this kind of breadcrumb quest that turned out to be you had the person who could save humanity, but then in this one it was so condensed into this kind of just personal feelings, kind of I hate this person, I want to take revenge, and then flip that, and it was too small for me. I think if they went part 3, I'd like to see something a little bit more grander again.
I reckon that might spoil the mystery. But you know what I would like? And they've already come out and said they have no plans for this, but some DLC Left Behind. That would be really good. And if you could play as Joel for like a few hours, that would be
Yeah.
great.
You know,
I
like
want to beat the shit out of zombies again.
you know, like the reason that I like Final Fantasy VII so much is because you start off as just a regular, like, mercenary, you know, doing small quests with your high school friend or like your childhood friend, and then it grows into a plot to save the world.
That sounds like
Wait,
a
were you
story I
talking
can
about
get
Final
on board
That
with.
sounds like a story I can get on board with.
No zombies.
No, I mean, it can have zombies. It can have zombies as long as you're still trying to tell a story about saving the world.
All right, so
All right.
who wants to talk about what they thought? Final thoughts. What do you think? Final Fantasy thoughts.
Yeah, okay, I'll take my final thoughts.
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay,
All
go
right, you
for
go
it, Ed.
first.
Okay, I'll go first, or you? Okay, I'll go first. All right. Yeah. I'll sum it up like this. I thought the game was enjoyable while I played it. I enjoyed it beginning to end, and upon reflection about some of the story points and characters and the way that they treated everything, it kind of spoiled my time with the game. I would say that overall it had amazing it had amazing graphics. Music was good. The gameplay was a bit stale here and there. Story beats were fine. I did like Abby as a new character. I just didn't think that a lot of her motivations made sense. And so overall, I'd probably say that it was about a 6.5 out of 10. Yeah.
All right. Over to me then. So I really like the game, as I said earlier at the start of the video. I really like the way, or going into this game, I tried to avoid as much as I can. I only watched that first E3 trailer, like however many years ago, and that was all I had leading up to this game. Playing the game, yeah, there was some repetitiveness, which I kind of, wasn't too keen about, but the way the story had kept me thinking after like days that I'd finished it, and he just kind of like kept me my thoughts going back and forth. That's what I really loved about it. Like he created this conflict within myself, which made me appreciate it so much more. The story writing, yeah. For me, my score to this would be 9 out of 10.
You thought it was better than the first game?
I appreciate the way the story was told.
You sound like a politician.
Much better in the first game. Yeah,
Mate,
man.
just tell me the truth. Did you think it was better than the first game?
I like it.
Appreciate.
Yeah, man. Nah, I really like the way that he made me conflicted, and that was a part that the first game didn't do to me. I mean, it does have that thing. The only thing that first game does to you to make you feel conflicted is, would have I made the same decision as Joel at the end of the game or not? This game,
That didn't make me conflicted.
well, I mean, that's how I felt for it. But yeah, for this one, there was like so many more things about it where I felt like really torn, which the first game didn't do to me to that same level.
Sorry, just before you go, Kurt, Yale,
Yo.
how many golf clubs out of 10 did you rate this?
6.5.
Ed?
9.
Okay, sorry, Kurt.
Ooh. I'm just going to keep it simple. I've already spoken about most of my points. Yeah, I had the same conflict in this game, where I kind of like the story to be straightforward for me. I like games to be easy and not feel conflict in my head about not liking a main character of what's supposed to be the game and the franchise. And I agree that the gameplay in a lot of parts was pretty similar. I found myself resorting to the same basic mechanics that I was using through the first game. But yeah, overall, I think I would rate this game probably about a 7, probably on the same. I would give it the same score as I gave the first one, really. Not too bad, not too great, just average in my book. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I think the strongest part for me was the story, and I like something that sort of goes against the grain, is a little bit different, and this doesn't have the your typical Hollywood happy ending, or even the same 3-act structure of a Hollywood movie. It leaves you. It kind of leaves you disappointed, and I kind of like that because it's very unexpected, and it's much more of a. I think the story is more powerful that way. Where it kind of falls a bit short for me is mostly the gameplay. So, as I think you guys all said, it was very, very similar to the first one. And, I guess, an argument could be made for if it's not broke, don't fix it. But yeah, it just felt too much the same. Like I said, you're picking up the same bricks and bottles off the floor, like I could have thought of something else, And yeah, another thing was I thought the music was a bit lacking in this one. And I know that the same composer returned, but the score of the first game seemed to be a lot better. And I didn't really notice it as much in this one. But aside from that, graphics were awesome. And yeah, I don't think it's quite as good as the first game. I'd probably rate this an 8 out of 10, 8 golf clubs out of 10. And I don't think I want to see a part 3, but for the right reasons. I think the story's wrapped up, and I think where they've left it, it's the right time now just to leave it there. I do want to see some DLC though. That would be good, but I'm pretty sure that's not happening.
Nice.
Yeah. What do you think, Jared?
Oh yeah, I thought it was really good.
He can just write it into the stream and then someone repeat it back. Are there any games that we're all going to be likely playing in the coming future?
Yeah, I think everyone should play Cyberpunk 2077. I think it's going to be the most revolutionary game of the year. So,
when does that come out?
It comes out in November.
So I've decided to play Cyberpunk,
Yeah.
but only because the hype is so massive. I figured I have to. But what is the big deal? What's the big deal about this game?
I get it. If you don't want to play it, it's okay. Like, we're not going to force you to play it.
Quevo said 3.5 out of 10.
So I think
Well, you're wrong.
I think the main thing about this game is that it's based on no, actually, I think the main thing about it is that it's been created by CD Projekt Red, and they created The Witcher, which was a massive success, and it was
awesome.
like really, really cool. And now they're taking on Cyberpunk 2077, so they're basing it on their success with The Witcher and saying if they can get this game as good as The Witcher, but set in this, sci-fi, punk, steampunk, whatever it is.
FF7.
It would be, like, it'll be an amazing game. So I don't know if it is going to be, but everything I've heard, it's already a masterpiece. So.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the hype seems so massive, and people have already decided, it's going to be game of the year.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
What do you know? How do you even know about it?
I'm cautiously optimistic with it. Like, I want it to succeed, and I want it to be good because, that just means that I get to enjoy something. But if I think about the best games I've ever played, they have huge story elements, and I don't know if that's this kind of game. So it might be for a lot of people, but it might not necessarily be that game of the year that I was looking to play. I still think it's Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. So
I don't think that will win Game of the Year.
No, just for me, it's Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yeah,
it's been your game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do a wrap up.
I think we already wrapped up, didn't we? I thought we were just talking now. Now we're literally just chatting.
Let me do a wrap up.
You want to do the outro? All right.
Yeah, the outro. So, hey, thanks everyone for listening to our stupid podcast. Appropriate, semi-occasional gaming podcast.
Start it again.
No, leave it in there.
Yeah, I reckon.
So you can find me on Instagram. I'm Retro Prawns. You guys
can find me on Instagram at Synthetic Gaming and YouTube at Synthetic Gaming. Down to you, Fizz.
Yep. Mostly I am known as Fizzy on Instagram, Twitch, And Fizzy Fam on Twitter.
All right, and Nacho Cheese or Nacho Average Gamer, as I can be found on Instagram. Thanks for listening in, and thanks for the chat, boys.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Had a good one.
Cheers,
And
everyone. Links in the description below.
Next time we'll probably be back with Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, see you.
Or Fortnite. We'll see.
Or Fall Guys.
Hey, you know John's been playing Fortnite with us yet?
Just a little bit.
has
Yeah. Actually,
We got a win. We got a win the other day.
Yeah, we got to win
those
with
guys
John.
have been carrying me pretty much.
Ah,